The voice of college football at our network all over the Texas-Michigan game last week. Joel Klatt joins us as he always does on Wednesdays. Joel Klatt podcast.
What's up, dude?
Madison, Wisconsin. We were saying this. Let's go back.
Okay.
And look at Texas. Now, I know it's the eye test, but I use the eye test in college sports a lot. In the NBA, everybody's tall, long, and talented. In the NFL, the margins are tiny. I look at Texas, and I see Michigan last year where I'm not sure who's a 1 and who's a 2. They're rotating defensive linemen in.
Yeah.
They look like, to me, eye test, the most talented team in the sport.
I think that Georgia and Ohio State could lay claim to that as well. So in my last top 10, I put them 1A, 1B, 1C.
Yeah. Those
three teams, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas. And Texas certainly looked that way. I was so impressed with a lot of things that went on Saturday. To name a few. Their offensive line is as experienced and physical as any in the sport.
3 first-rounders, maybe?
Possibly. Definitely 2, I would say. And the thing about it is that they're experienced, Colin. It's not just young talent up there. They played as young players. So this, in a lot of cases, is their 3rd year starting. They have got, I would say they fixed their rotation on the defensive line because they lost T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy.
Yeah, great.
2 excellent defensive tackles. So that was going to be a point of weakness for them. Well, guess what? They went out and got 3 other defensive tackles in the portal, which makes their rotation in the interior fine because none of them have to play over 25 or 30 snaps. They got Andrew Makuba, the safety from Clemson, to come in and shore up the secondary. Now, all of a sudden, the secondary is a strength. They go out in the portal and they get a couple of wide receivers, Golden and Bond, to supplement with their young players. And all of a sudden, you're sitting there and you're like, this probably is a national championship caliber team. Right. And then their quarterback is excellent. He's experienced. Quinn Ewers knows what he's looking at. Their play caller is outstanding. Their 3rd down plan, I know this is like technical stuff, but you'll love this stuff. Their 3rd down plan for Wink Martindale was so good. Steve Sarkisian is so smart. If it was 3rd and 7 plus, he max protected with 7 guys, and he let his guys roam and get loose. If he had one-on-one, Ewers would hit him. And Ewers understood what the plan was as well. So he knew that all he had to do, if they played coverage against that max protection, is get loose with his feet and either create with his feet or create a hole down the field with his feet and exploit that with his arm. He did that on several different occasions. Then you would get into the middle 3rd downs, 3rd and 4, 5, and 6. And what did he do? Screen. It was screen right, screen left, a little tunnel screen here. Ball was on the outside quickly to get away from those defensive linemen. And then he also saw what Michigan was trying to do with alignment because they were trying to do some funky things with alignment. He saw Mason Graham, one of the best defensive tackles in college football, lined up as a defensive end. So guess what he did? He ran away. It's not that hard sometimes, right? People try to make it so difficult. He just ran the football to the opposite direction. And guess what? Got the 1st down. Yeah. So Sark's brilliance coupled with a team that's talented and experienced, that's going to be very difficult. Remember, Georgia has to go to Texas. I'm not sure Georgia can beat Texas in Austin.
I don't know if they can. It's funny. It's one of those things in baseball, if you have a great bullpen, you don't need dominant starting pitching.
Yeah, because you got a great bullpen.
If you have a great offensive line in college or pro football, like Detroit, they're just going to lean on you.
Yeah, that's right.
That game against the Rams.
That's what Michigan had last year.
That's right. They just lean on you, and they don't throw a pass against Penn State in the second half on the road, and it's like, white flag. Penn State's like, we don't have the bodies.
And Texas has that.
So Texas has the Michigan O-line with more playmakers.
That's right. I would be shocked if this team is not right there at the end playing for a national championship.
Okay, I'm going to say something.
Uh-oh.
And I'll get a lot of pushback, but that's who I am. I believe with all my heart. Okay.
I can't wait for this.
Ohio State, Georgia, Texas. Okay.
They're the top 3. Oh, I know where you're going. When he gets this look.
USC.
Yeah, there it was.
Along with Alabama. Is in that 4 spot.
Wait, a timeout. Alabama was in a 1-point game with South Florida in the 4th quarter. Hey, all of a sudden you want to crown them, crown them. What are you talking about?
I don't get caught up in score. I get caught up in winning and style. I'm telling you. First of all, Miller Moss.
You're missing it. You're missing it.
You don't think USC is good?
No. You're good on USC. You're you're missing it. You're enamored with a shiny object called Alabama. Alabama might be fine, and I'm not saying that they're bad, so stop it, Tide fans. This is not about Alabama.
They're vulnerable.
The three most impressive teams to date that are not named Georgia, Texas, or Ohio State.
Are who?
Are USC, you had one of them.
Ole Miss.
Miami,
Cam Ward, something.
and Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee's good.
There you go.
I'll give you Tennessee.
And Miami. You're going to give me all three.
Okay.
Because all three are right.
2 weeks ago, I said, after the first week, the Labor Day weekend, I said the two teams to keep your eye on are Tennessee and USC. So I just want to talk about USC. We know coaching matters.
Oh, yeah.
They went out and got, I would argue, he is going to be the hot coach on the market at the end of the season, D'Anton Lynn. Their defensive personnel is okay. I think they have an NFL safety. I think their edge rusher, Anthony Lucas, can play at the next level. Not a ton of NFL talent. What I worry about is they'll get exposed against an Ohio State, a Texas, a Georgia. That they're doing it now on guile, toughness, coaching, and there's limitations. Is that fair?
On the defensive side, I would say that's fair, but it's probably a little better than that.
Okay.
You know, I mean, they don't have bad players.
No, that's
by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
And the way that they're playing from a structural standpoint and a soundness standpoint, like this team playing that style of defense, I would favor them next week against Michigan in the Big House.
Oh, did they?
You know, so then it becomes real. Then it becomes like, okay, we can play for the Big Ten title. Now, when you think about trying to play those three way up top, I mean, do they have enough?
Different.
Maybe. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, ever since he became a head coach, what would it be like if Lincoln Riley actually had a good defense? What would it be like?
Well, that's what this is.
And we're starting to see that. And I've never been worried about their offense. I think their defense is real. D'Anton Lynn is fantastic. And I do find it interesting. And you brought up Bo Nix. He got confused facing Mike McDonald's defense on Sunday as the Broncos faced the Seattle Seahawks. Mike McDonald, Baltimore Ravens style defense. Jesse Minter, a Baltimore Ravens style defense. The Ravens, obviously, Baltimore Ravens style defense. D'Anton Lynn, he was in that room as well. That's where he cut his teeth.
So it's all that Ravens stuff.
It's all of that Ravens stuff, the stuff that Michigan won the national championship with and Baltimore has played well
Joel,
with.
What happens defensively in this league, you get these, remember the old 4-6 defense, like the Bears. College teams ripped it off. Washington was one of it. What happens is you get these 2 and 3 year, Pete Carroll for years, Jimmy Johnson. You get these 2 and 3 year cycles that teams are ahead of other teams on schematically. Right. And I think USC at a college level is ahead of some people.
They're ahead of the curve. Obviously, Michigan was kind of the first one there, and they dominated on defense. They were the best defense in the country a year ago. I go back to like early 2000s. You remember the Tampa Bay defense with Monty Kiffin?
Yep.
And then guess what I saw the next year at quarterback in college? Everybody ran Monty Kiffin's defense. That's all we saw was 4-3 cover. We called it 23 Mike or Tampa 2, whatever it was. And you're starting to see that now. And that defense that USC is running, here's the philosophy. And this is coming from the people that built the defense. Number one, how do you play offense on defense? That's number one. I can explain that if you want. Number two is we want to play with a run wall up front. That means the interior defensive line. We want to play with hard edges, which means those edges on the defensive line. And then we want hybrid, versatile athletes everywhere else. The ability to cover, run, and more specifically tackle. And I think the tackling and the improvement tackling from USC from last year to this year has been staggering. And this idea of playing offense on defense, this is what it means. Offenses are going to try to run a few concepts, they'll call it like Z drive or all go or shallow cross or whatever it is. And you can run those out of 100 different formations. So for the defense, it looks like 100 different plays, but for the offense, they're running one. So it's simple for the offense, difficult for the defense. And that's exactly what Baltimore wanted to flip and say, well, no, we want to do that exact same thing and give you a bunch of different defensive structures, but really we're only running a couple of different concepts. So it's easy for us, difficult for you. And that's what that defense really is.
Okay, this is going to be difficult for you. So I want you to get ready and put a seatbelt on.
Okay.
So for years,
buckle up.
For years, I called Iowa the fake ID of college football.
Yeah, that was rude.
Well, it was accurate.
I disagree. They did well.
Yeah, they win 8
for what
games
they were.
and really want to play
10.
a big team and lose by 30.
Wow.
But I will say this: at least it took them 4 or 5 beers before they threw up on themselves. Colorado now can't get through a margarita, and they're tipsy and falling into walls. I hear a lot of chatter. I hear a lot of talk. They're bad. And they're, once again, flush out half the team, bring in a bunch of new transfers. It's starting to feel like a timeshare sales pitch. There's no there. What are they? What is Deion? And I was on board because I like big personalities.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the first premise is, and you would agree with this, regardless of what's happened, he's made them relevant.
No question.
And that's
why I'm on board.
Irrelevant.
Totally irrelevant.
Okay. No one cares about this, but the impact on the university has been staggeringly positive from a admission standpoint, economic impact, not only for the university, but for the city. It is a net giant win.
Yeah.
On the field, it's starting to teeter. I'm with you. It's starting to teeter. This game that they play Saturday night in Fort Collins, of all places, against Colorado State.
They've lost that game before. That game's a weird game.
Well, I didn't lose that game personally.
No.
But I just wanted that to be clear for everybody.
Yeah.
3-0, Bradley Van Pelt. How do you like me now? So that was rude, but whatever. Yeah. This rivalry is one-sided. They hate Colorado. Hate them because they all wanted to go to Colorado. Yeah. Trust me, I was one of them. I wanted Sonny Lubick to recruit me so badly, and he didn't.
Yeah.
So when I had to walk on at Colorado and when I played CSU, I was like, I wanted a piece of that. That's how those players feel about Colorado.
If Colorado loses, is Deion in trouble?
Well, this is the biggest game that they've played in his tenure, because they cannot lose this game. Whew. They have to win this game against Colorado State. If they lose this game, it's a signal of regression. You can't do that. You can't regress in year 2. That's not what this is all about.
That's right.
And you can't regress when you've got 2 players that might be picked in the top 10. One for sure going to be selected in the top 5, and Travis Hunter. That can't happen. So this game, there has never been more pressure on Deion Sanders as a coach in his career than there is this week against Colorado State on Saturday night.
Oh, I can't wait to watch it now. You got me all fired up. Hey, hold on, screen. Yeah, see the staff. We went and found an ID of Deion Sanders, and again he was trying to get into the clubs, and it's a fake ID. So
now you're saying he's the fake ID?
Kind of personal. Well, all right, let's go to
this. You can't reuse a joke. You got to come up with something else. That's for Iowa.
My career is reusing jokes. You just described my career. Iowa graduated. You can only be 19 so long. They got a job in the accounting firm in Iowa City. Okay.
Oh, man.
So Camp Randall, for the uninitiated, there's an argument on a Saturday night in the fall. Camp Randall's the best place to be in the country.
Or at noon in the fall, Colin.
It is fun. Oh, it's noon game.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, we moved it up for the show. Okay.
It's in the title.
Do they have a shot? Do they have a shot to beat Alabama?
Yeah, I think Wisconsin's better this year than they were a year ago. I think Luke Fickell has built something that is a bit underappreciated, and they're leaning more in on the run game. Now, whether they do that, it remains to be seen. Tyler Van Dyke, their quarterback, is going to have to play like the young Tyler Van Dyke from Miami that everyone thought was a Heisman Trophy candidate.
A couple years ago, everybody loved him.
Yeah, and people thought that he was going to be highly touted in terms of the draft, and it hasn't played out that way, and he's looking to regain that form. Their defense is pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Well, Their secondary is very good. Yeah. Luke knows what he's doing. Yeah. They're tough-minded. And here's the thing. As we learned last week in college football, hey, man, anybody can be beat on any given day. And this would certainly not shock me if Wisconsin's playing a tight one. And that's a great environment. It's a great environment. That's a fan base that understands football. They know what they're rooting for, and I can't wait to be there.
Oh, you're going to be big. Okay, here's Klatt's top 10. I don't know if I like Miami. I like Cam Ward. So you got them at 5.
I do have them at 5. I think Miami's the best team in the ACC.
Cam Ward is one of those guys. I remember because I watched him at Washington State a half dozen times. He's always good. He's just a playmaker.
Yeah.
I think he's an NFL player.
I think so, too.
I think he's an NFL. I think in this draft, people are going to sell some Shedeur stock. They're going to like Cam Ward because the personality of Cam Ward is feisty, bottom line, tough guy. It's hard when you listen to Cam Ward, it's hard not to like him.
I agree. And by the way, that I've got Tennessee and USC in my top 10. They've been more impressive than a team like, and I'm not saying Missouri's bad, but than Missouri, who hasn't done anything.
Oregon. Ugh.
I mean, Oregon has just not looked. And by the way, they've got to go to Oregon State this week. That is a rivalry game. The home team has won the last 4. Watch out for Oregon State this week.
1A, 1B, 1C.
Yeah,
You're not terribly committed. I hope with your wife you didn't say, listen, I'm going out for meeting. We're going to have a cup of coffee. I hope you were committed more than that. Holy moly!
I mean, it's 2 weeks in. They've all earned it to a certain extent. I just wanted to. Here's the deal: is that I wanted to show some sort of delineation between those 3 and the rest of everybody else.
Well, that's true. Yeah, those 3 are the best.
That was the point of the 1A, 1B, 1C is that I wanted it to be different than Ole Miss.
You know what I like about the transfer portal? This is what I really like about the transfer portal, is that in the NFL, once you get the quarterback right and the coach right, the Chiefs, the Ravens are going to be good for years.
That's right.
That's right. And so there's some symmetry. I don't want new teams every year. The Bills will be good. The Dolphins will be good. In college sometimes, now, again, Georgia's good every year, or Ohio State. But in college sometimes you get a team like Michigan with all these pros, then they leave and you're like, wow.
Yeah, you got to rebuild
4 more years to rebuild, like Washington. The transfer portal it's a solution.
Well,
like you just said,
I think it's a double-edged sword, though. I mean, I don't listen. The pushback would be yes, and it can go the opposite direction. We've seen these, like for Colorado right now, it's teetering largely because they've got basically 95 new players in the last 2 years.
That's too many.
Well, so, you can try to go rebuild yourself. Last year for USC, it didn't work.
No,
the previous year, it did work. So I just think that you're kind of playing with fire. Remember the old Coach K line?
What was that?
Remember he was talking about Christian Laettner, I think it was, and he was like, hey, Laettner is like your furnace. If it's controlled, he can heat your whole house. But if it gets out of control, he'll burn it down. That's the transfer portal.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said. You got to be careful. If a guy's leaving a program, there may be Georgia's not letting their best players go.
If you're trying to build your whole program out of the transfer portal,
that's a good way to do it.
That is not a great recipe. If you are supplementing, like Texas just did in defensive line and secondary and wide receiver, or Michigan did last year when they brought in a couple more defensive pieces and they got the tight end Barner who came in there, they were supplementing. And I think the best teams supplement, Ohio State right now, supplementing. They've got a core group, and then all of a sudden here comes Caleb Downs and Quinshon Judkins. And you become better when you supplement, but building the entire foundation out of the transfer portal is risky.
Frankly, you were a high school recruit at Fox. I came from the portal.
I mean,
and with a lot of baggage.
You did listen. I'm just glad that you assimilated to the culture that I had built here.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
because I was loose.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm like an old veteran. I'm like your captain. You're welcome.
I'm more the furnace.
Yep.
Hey, Klatt, it's great seeing you. I appreciate the participation trophies for the top 3 teams. Everybody gets a trophy. Always appreciate that about you.
Yeah, you bet. It's week 2.
I know. We're going to have a good time together.
Did
you see the ratings? Did you see the Big Ten ratings?
I did.
Time spent viewing up 148%. Ooh, Pac-12 disappeared. Nobody will watch.
This will be the most viewed college football season ever because there'll be more fan bases that feel like they're in it. It's going to be great.
Joel Klatt, the voice of college football.
You're welcome.
Shooting a documentary today.
Yeah, they said they wanted to come by your show, and I was like, why?
See, that's not a way to end it. We did.
Were we on a better note?
Treaty right there. We'd made peace.
Man.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.